Good morning. We're gonna make some sweet potato brownies today. So let's get started. First of all, I have cooked some sweet potato. It was a large sweet potato. We only need 3/4 of a cup. So I think this might be double the recipe. So we might have to double the recipe. Darn. Looks like quite a bit. And this was one large sweet potato. Oh, guess what? There's no markings left on my cup. Okay, so let's just guess. I would say that is about 3/4 of a cup. One more scoop. I mean, the top of the line is here. So I would think that's about 3/4. There's a couple of black spots on the sweet potato, and I just picked them out. So my phone died, and it said my storage was too full. So we're still attempting to make sweet potato brownies. The recipe calls for 1 cup of almond butter, and it says to heat it up so it's spreadable and workable. So I had to get a measuring cup that actually had the lines on the side still. Not quite. So the recipe says warm up your peanut butter, or you can use peanut butter, almond butter or peanut butter, 1 cup. A little bit of fire happening here. For a teaspoon of vanilla, and I always use the cap. So I've got 1, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And yeah, it's burning. I dropped some butter on it. On the stove. And I'm just warming up my almond butter so that it's workable in my recipe. So it says take your 3/4 cup of sweet potato, 1 cup of almond butter, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And you mix all that wet ingredient together. And then you mix the dry ingredient separate. And you pour the dry into the wet. Yeah. And little fire, nothing to be alarmed about. There's actually just burning butter on the element. It's kind of fun. This is not one of those regular cooking channels where the kitchen is perfect. And the video is perfect. You don't want to see what's in that cupboard. For the dry ingredients, it says 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons, which I thought was funny, but I have made the recipe before, and it turned out perfect when I followed the recipe exactly. So we're doubling up, so it's anybody's guess. And I'm going to use cake and pastry flour, and I'm using the cake and pastry flour from 1847. 1/2 cup plus 4 tablespoons, and it's asking for 1/2 cup of mini chocolate chips. I'm using semi-sweet vegan, and I think we're doubling it up so it's a cup, so that works out good. 2/3 cup of sugar. Quarter cup of cocoa powder, so it's going to be 1/2 cup. Plus 4 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put that in our dry ingredients. got some bread in the oven. I'm gonna check it out. Turned out pretty good. That one's gonna go for sale in the hut. Okay, back to my recipe. Gotta turn the oven back down. The temperature is supposed to be 325 for this recipe. So it's saying 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Huge box of baking soda. I'm guessing that that's 1.5. Oh, 1.5 times 2. Because we're doubling it up. So there we go. And then 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Doubled. I'm going to say about that much. So we mix all of our dry ingredients. So it looks like that. Your flour, your cocoa, the sugar, baking soda, the salt. The recipe says to pour the dry ingredient over the wet ingredient. We're going to take a break to charge my phone. I'm just greasing my pan. Just regular old butter in here. If you're vegan, then you'd want to use something like vegetable shortening. Dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Got my oven heating at 325, and we're going to mix this all together. It does look amazing, and it smells good too. Pan. It's optional, but you can put some little mini chocolate chips on top. I think it's just for looks, or maybe just because it's not quite chocolatey enough. And I gotta go back to the recipe and kind of look how long we're going to put this in the oven for. Give it a go. It's going in the oven. Hey, so this is the Hut on Morganston, and we are making sweet potato brownies, and the timer is going off. And it was supposed to be in there for 20 minutes at 325. So let's have a look. I had forgotten to put the chocolate chips on top, so I just opened the door and put them in. That looks lovely. So this time I am going to let it cool before I try to eat it, and I'll let you know how it tastes. Okay, so this has been cooling now for a while. Not really sure how to cut it. Oh, and it's not turning out. So I didn't take into account that I had doubled the recipe, but not doubled the baking time. So I think the problem was that I didn't bake it long enough. So I put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. Doubled the baking time. And now it looks fantastic. And I'm just taking it out, and we're going to give it a try. So it's a little bit crumbly, falling apart. Still looks really awesome. I'm going to try a bite. That's yummy. Oh, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, The Hut on Morganston. I'm going to leave the recipe in the description below. This is for my business. I dragged my husband's, oh, I gotta shut off the timer. And shut off the oven. I dragged my husband Jimmy's ice hut out to the end of my driveway during COVID, and started baking bread and sticking it out there for the neighbors. And then the neighbors kind of got involved, and they started baking things and putting it in the hut for sale. And I started making some soap, and my son started making essential oil. He bought a still, and he's making cedar essential oil here. So You can order from us. It's thehuttonmorganston@gmail.com. We're trying to be sustainable, and we'd like to be plastic free, but we're not there yet. Some things we still have to buy come in plastic, but we try to reuse our plastic as much as we can. What else can I tell you about the Hut on Morganston? I'll take a little video and show you the Hut on Morganston. So it's been a really fun journey. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe, share it if you liked it, and yeah, let's have some fun.